All right, today we're going to dive into a word you probably use all the time, maybe without even realizing just how versatile it is. In fact, this word is so fundamental, it's considered one of the absolute essential building blocks of the English language. So let me start with a little puzzle for you. What on earth do railroad tracks and sentences have in common? I mean, one's a big physical thing, right? And the other is, well, it's just a concept from grammar. So what's the connection?
Well, the answer is just one single word: parallel. And, over the next few minutes, we're going to see how this one little term does an incredible amount of heavy lifting in English. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, so first things first. Let's start on familiar ground, right? We're going to look at parallel as an adjective. This is probably the way you use it most often. Yeah, this is that classic geometry definition you almost certainly learned back in school. Just picture two lines, side by side, they never meet, they always keep that same perfect distance from each other. That's the core idea we're starting with. And of course, you see this concept all the time out in the real world. You can picture it perfectly, can't you? Train tracks stretching out into the distance. Or maybe two cars driving right alongside each other. They're parallel. It's a really simple visual idea. Okay, but this is where it starts to get really interesting. What happens when we take that idea, that side-by-side and similar concept, and we apply it to things that aren't physical lines at all? So now, let's see how this same concept builds into its second form, the noun. This is where we shift from describing something to actually naming a concept. So, used this way, a parallel isn't a physical state anymore. It's a thing. It's literally the name we give to a point of similarity, a comparison between two totally different things. Here's a great example right from our source material. The speaker says they see a connection, a similarity, between two different people, John and Beth. So, if you break it down, the parallel here is the similarity that exists between John and Beth. And the reason for that parallel: they both like playing with toy cars. I mean, this is a huge leap, right? We've just taken a word from geometry and used it to describe human behavior. But we've kept that same core idea of a side-by-side comparison.
All right, so if it can be a description and a thing, can it also be an action? Oh, you bet. And that brings us to its third and final form, the verb.
So, as a verb, parallel just takes the core ideas we've already looked at and puts them into motion. Instead of just seeing a similarity, we can now say that one thing parallels another. Now, this slide really shows you the difference. On the left, parallel is a noun. It's a thing you can see or identify. But on the right, the stories are actively doing the paralleling. It's a subtle shift, yeah, but it's a really powerful one that gives you a lot more flexibility in how you express an idea. Okay, so that's the adjective, the noun, and the verb. Let's pull this all together now. Just look at how that core meaning kind of evolves just slightly across all three forms. It starts with the very literal distance of the adjective, then it moves to the more figurative idea of similarity with the noun, and finally, it becomes the action of being similar with the verb. See? It's all built on that exact same foundation. All right, so it's a versatile word. We get that. But why does that actually matter? Why are we focusing so much on this one word today? Well, the answer really lies in its fundamental role in how we communicate. And here it is, the real key. According to our source material, parallel isn't just a useful word, it's officially recognized as an essential one. It's on the academic word list, which is cool, but even more surprisingly, it's on a list of the most basic foundational words in the entire English language. Let's just focus on that number for a second. 850. The Basic English 850. Now, that is a famous list that was created to form a complete, working vocabulary with the fewest possible words. So think about that. Out of the hundreds of thousands of words in English, parallel made the final cut as one of the essential 850. That tells you it's considered absolutely fundamental. And really, that's the ultimate takeaway here. When you master a word like parallel in all three of its forms, you're giving yourself this simple, incredibly efficient tool to describe relationships, to make comparisons, and to explain some really complex ideas, whether you're talking about geometry or human nature. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What other simple, everyday words are out there holding this kind of surprising power? That's a fascinating question to chew on. Thanks so much for joining me.